If you are writing a book, do not write another word until you understand these three things. I'm America's book coach, Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I help people write their books in 6 months. I personally have written 40 books, memoirs, novels, and how-to books, business books here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, where Catherine and I, my sister, started our company to help people publish amazing books, starting with our own, including my memoir, Catherine's young adult novels, our mother's memoir, and books for prominent people all across America. So I'm here to tell you right now, there's three things you need to know before you start writing that book. If you don't, it'll be like leaving your house trying to get to a new destination with no GPS. You need to know these three things as your guiding light, your North Star, your direction, your focus. When I teach people how to write a book over 6 months, we start with an exercise that I call the summary sentence. That's something I made up because when I write my books, I need to know where I'm going and how I'm going to get there. So the summary sentence contains three things that you must understand before you start writing the book. So the first one is three little letters that mean everything. Why? Why are you writing this book? Why are you called? Why must you present this information? Why are you writing the book? You need to be very, very clear with yourself on that purpose, because I believe when we're called to write a book, it's not just about us at all. It's about a calling, a mission. It's about all the people out there in the world who need to know what you know and what you're about to share in your book. Let me share a couple of examples. Our latest publication is Medicalpreneur by Dr. Francisco Arredondo, and he is a very prominent fertility specialist who was also a very successful business person. Well, he said that physicians are traditionally discouraged from becoming business people, even though they are. Think about your doctor's office. It's been in business possibly for generations. That's a business. However, the perception is different. So he is on a mission to teach other doctors how to become excellent entrepreneurs. He shares everything he learned in his very extensive business experience in this book. It's his calling, it's his mission. He felt very strongly about it. So he contacted me. I actually ghost wrote the book for him, and we here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing published it for him. So that's an example of his why. His why is he wants to teach other medical professionals how to be excellent business people, hence the book. So another why, when I wrote my memoir, God's answer is no, lessons from a spiritual life. It's spiritual, not religious. I felt called to share all my discoveries in meditation and creating a very spiritual, high vibe lifestyle. So I wanted to share my stories. And the mission was, my why was when I first embarked on my spiritual awakening, I felt like all the books I was reading were super over my head. I didn't understand. I needed like Spirituality 101. That book didn't exist, so I wrote it. I wrote a book that teaches people how to start on their spiritual discovery. And this is the book that I needed for myself. It didn't exist, so I wrote it. So that was my why. I wanted to help people who needed the assistance that I didn't get. So I have so many examples. I could spend all night talking about that, but Linda Lockhart, she retraced the steps of not the Oregon Trail, but the Applegate Trail, and she wrote a novel about it. Her why was that she's fascinated by Oregon history, and she wanted to share her story, but it's fiction and it's like a Western novel. So she had a lot of fun with it. Her part of her why was she always wanted to write a novel, and she did. Part of her why was she wanted to share this history so she could entertain people, but they're learning at the same time. So that's part of her why. And she did it, masterfully created this beautiful book. Elaine Mackes, PhD, her why. She was one of my book coaching clients, and I'm so proud of how she masterfully used all the techniques that I teach to create this beautiful book about her father's experience as an 18-year-old soldier in the army fighting on the front lines in France and Germany to liberate Europe from the Nazis. Beautifully done. Oh my gosh. But her why was to celebrate her father's legacy and to take his maps, his journals, his oral histories, his videos, everything, photographs, and share them in this historical book that celebrates his life and teaches young people, adults alike, about World War II and what it was like from this very wise young man's perspective. The book is so chilling. I mean, it's got gruesome things, but it's also got romance and humor, and it's just beautifully done. I'm so proud of her. Elaine was in my 6 months to success book coaching program, and she wrote this book in 6 months in my class. So she's proof. I'm so proud of her that you can write your book in 6 months. And my next program starts in May of 2022. You can go to americasbookcoach.com and learn more about how I can help you write your book in 6 months. You can do it. Most people don't know where to start. That's the biggest complaint, or they procrastinate because they're confused or overwhelmed or just absolutely clueless about how to start writing a book. But the class gives you the structure, the schedule, the mindset, the mechanics, everything you need to write, publish, and promote your book. So back to the why. Her why was about her dad. Her why was about teaching people so they never forget the reality of World War II, and that she wanted to create something that would teach young people about American and world history. So my sister writes young adult novels, Catherine Greenspan. Her why in writing the Veronica series that starts with Veronica, I Heard Your Mom's Black. Her why is that there were no books when we were growing up as mixed race girls in a world that didn't have all the role models that mixed race children have today. Mariah Carey, Tiger Woods, Derek Jeter, President Obama. These people were not on the horizon for us to look up to at all. We had nobody. And the books we read portrayed mixed race kids and people in a really negative way. So Catherine said, nope, my why is I want other young girls to be able to read a story about a really feisty 14-year-old mixed race girl who is dealing with the world of race and boys and friends and school and family and everything else. And so she wrote the Veronica series. There are 3 of them, and this is the first one. So that's her why, a very important mission to help young mixed race girls like herself, who again did not have a book to look to. So she wrote it for them. So those are the why. So what is your why? Why do you feel called to write your book? If your why is you want to be rich and famous, if your why is that you just want to be celebrated for this contribution to the world of sharing your knowledge, your story, your wisdom, just know what it is. And guess what? You should have it come from the heart and soul. Those are the most altruistic missions with a book. And I think they have the best possible outcome to help other people. Now, here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, we also wrote a book for Master Sergeant Cedric King. It's called The Making Point, How to Make Your Breaking Point Your Making Point or Success. He is an inspirational speaker. He is a triathlete, even though he stepped on a bomb in Afghanistan as a soldier, as an Army Master Sergeant, lost his legs, motivational speaker on stages across America. But he wanted a book because, first of all, his story is so remarkable. Secondly, that he spins his messages in a way that make you feel so inspired. That makes you feel so inspired. It's amazing. I mean, when Catherine and I were interviewing him for his book, we just had constant moments of, oh my gosh. But that's the point, because Cedric wanted to have a book for people everywhere to learn his messages, get his inspiration, even if they never heard him speak on a stage in person. So your book can reach infinite numbers of people everywhere, but you personally might not be able to reach them as a speaker. So that's another why. So now you understand the first thing you need to know before you write your book is your why. Okay, the next thing you need to understand before you write your book is your intention. Now, your intention is different than your why. Your intention is like your big picture goal. Stephen Covey, who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, begin with the end in mind. You have to know where you're going to figure out how to get there. And so when you embark on your book writing journey, you need to know the destination and you need to know how you're going to get there step by step. And that's one thing that I love helping aspiring authors figure out: how to outline, how to structure, how to format every bit of information into this beautiful flow of ideas and vignettes and stories and graphics and pictures that keep their readers engaged. I absolutely love that. So the word intention for me is like your goal. Think of it like your end goal, but an intention is even bigger. I think it's infused with sort of a supernatural, spiritual energy, regardless of your beliefs. It's just bigger than just a goal. It's like a mission. But what is the end result that you're seeking with this mission? Do you want to write a New York Times best-selling book that will get you the kind of attention you need to get a film deal? Do you want to simply help people, not care about the money or the accolades or the celebrity? You just want to help people by sharing your information. Do you want to use your book as part of your online course where it's required reading as your curriculum? And I coach someone named Kathy Callie. She is a wealth coach, and she helps people pay down debt and save. And her book is called Give, Save, Spend. It's really amazing. And Kathy had the mission of helping people get out of debt, feel confident about their finances, and get a strategy and structure to ensure long-term financial security. And so she was part of my 6-month book coaching program as well. I'm so proud of her because her mission was to use her book in her wealth building programs as required reading. So now everybody who comes to her course must read her book, and it's part of their activities that they do, their homework, their assignments and such, that help them learn how to become empowered around finance. So if you're a coach, having a book is a really powerful tool that you can use to enhance your teachings. So that might be your intention, to use your book as part of your curriculum for your course. I say online because during the pandemic, most courses have been online, but there might be a cause for having a physical book in a physical class now that things are opening up. So it's up to you, but that's another intention. We have books that we're publishing for people who never intend to publish their book or put it for sale on the marketplace. They're only publishing the book to provide to their loved ones as a chronicle of their legacy. And so that's a really powerful, powerful reason, intention to write a book, is that I want my children, my grandchildren, and future generations to know my story in my words. That's my intention. It's a beautiful mission. So your intention is something bigger than a goal. It's exactly how you envision the end result. And it's only you know that intention. And when you get the calling to write the book, chances are you're going to have an understanding of what that calling is, what that intention is, and what it entails. What does it look like? If you don't know, just get still, quiet, close your eyes, turn off all your devices, and just really go within and ask yourself, ask your heart, ask your soul, ask whatever source you rely on for information from within. Your inner voice knows the answers. And so just ask, what is my intention with this book? Do you want your book to be part of a university curriculum as required reading, as the book you felt a course needed but wasn't there? I mean, you have so much power when you write a book. You literally can change the world, change the outcome for people's lives, one book at a time. It's that powerful. So know your intention as number 2. So now you know your why and your intention. The third thing you need to know before you write your book is your target audience. Who is your target audience? Now, a lot of people come to me as America's Book Coach and they're like, well, my book is for everybody. I want everybody to read my book. And they're not going to. You need to niche down and figure out who specifically is your book for. You can create an avatar of your reader, their name, their gender, their socioeconomic status, their education level, where they live, what their hobbies are, why they're interested in your book. You definitely need to know who these readers are, because you need to find out where they are so you can market the book to them. So let's talk about your target reader. Who is it that when you sit down to write, you envision yourself talking to? Imagine that instead of writing the book, you were talking to this audience. What would they look like? Where would they be? Why are they interested in you and what you have to say? Let me give you a few examples. So this book, Medicalpreneur, as I shared, was written by me with Dr. Arredondo, also known as Paco, for other medical professionals, doctors and other people who want to be entrepreneurs as medical professionals. So clearly, this is not for the general public unless they have an interest in this topic. This has a specific target audience, healthcare professionals. So when the book talks about the ICU and all kinds of other things, it can come from a medical doctor's perspective because he's addressing other medical professionals. Whereas if the book were for the general public, it would have a slightly different tone and way of sharing messages. Similarly, when I wrote my memoir, God's Answer is No, Lessons from a Spiritual Life, knowing that my target audience was people who were embarking on a spiritual journey, but didn't know where to start and needed like a 101 version of how to clear your chakras, how to meditate, how to eat a high vibe diet, I knew I had to break it down into very simple terms as an introduction to spirituality, like what is a chakra? I had to explain what that is, why it matters, and how it helps you feel better and live better, think more clearly, sleep better when you learn how to clear your energy on a daily basis. So I knew who my target audience was, people who were like beginners at spiritual awakening. Similarly, Linda's book, Life Along the Applegate Trail, her target reader is somebody who enjoys historical Western romance, or who enjoys Oregon history, history of the Pacific Northwest, women's stories. She released it on International Women's Day last year. So she had a clear understanding of who would like to read this book. Likewise, Catherine had a very clear understanding. This is a young adult novel, and it's for girls who are around 13, 14 years old, period, who are interested in the biracial story identity. However, girls of all different backgrounds have read the book and written her letters saying they really resonate with the universal themes of a girl overcoming challenges and having that sort of coming of age triumph. And lastly, Elaine's book is, she knew she really wanted young people like middle school and high school students to read this book and understand. So she wrote it in a way that they would understand. And she even has talking, teaching points at the end of every chapter. But she also wrote it in a way that anybody who's interested in history, American and global history, as well as World War II history specifically, would very much be interested in this book. So she wrote it understanding that those are her target audiences, and she has succeeded by resonating deeply with all of the above. So very cool. I have to say, my mother wrote her memoir, and she knew her why. She had a very fascinating story about marrying our father in the 60s, interracial marriage, 25-year age difference, big scandal with race and religion because he left the Catholic Church and then decided to get married, which was all scandalous in the 60s. Here's our family. She overcame many obstacles. So her mission was to share her very, very unique story that people kept saying, you should write a book. You should write a book. So if you keep hearing that from people, and we hear that from our authors all the time, people just encourage them over and over, write your book, write your book. So her why was to share her story. Her target audience was people who were specifically interested in religion and race, and also women's empowerment, because she rose above being a child put in foster care because she's half Black to becoming chief judge of one of the biggest courts in America for 12 years. And so she has a story of triumph for women overcoming all kinds of obstacles, racism, scandal, abuse. Her mother was abusive to her when she was little, and she overcame that too and became very successful. But another reason for her why is, in interracial families, people always say, what about the children? Well, Catherine and I both went to University of Michigan undergrad. We both have master's degrees in writing. We have our company for 6 years, publishing 31 books, and we're both well-balanced, high-achieving, nice people. So what about the children? Our mother wanted to show that the children of mixed-race families turn out just fine. So those are some examples of all the reasons, the why, the intention, and the target audience. Now, her target audience is broad. It's this is like a general memoir, and people of all different ages and backgrounds have read it. So we've published many books that have a very general audience of readers, but when you're writing it, it's very important to keep in mind a specific niche of people that you definitely want to reach. So, and just by virtue of writing a memoir, there's a certain readership that is interested in reading biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs. And so these are 3 things that, when you have a very clear understanding and when you write it down, you can have a guiding light, a North Star to be your GPS, your literary GPS as you're writing. Now, when I'm working with students in my 6 months to book success program, I have them write out one sentence that combines all 3 of these points. I call it the summary sentence. It has the why, It has the intention and it has the target audience. It's one of my favorite exercises when I have them do this. And when I write anything myself, I do this exercise because it helps me know where I am, where I want to go, and what I have to do to get there. So, what do you have to do to get there to become a published author? Well, it starts with understanding these three really important points: knowing your why, setting that intention, and knowing who is your target audience, who is your target reader. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, America's book coach. I would love to help you write your book in 6 months. My next program starts on May 5th. So within 6 months from May 5th, you could have your book finished. It's a high energy, intensive, nurturing experience online, so you can join me from anywhere. And I help you get the confidence, the mindset, the structure, the schedule, and everything you need to understand about how to write, publish, and promote your book. If you've been dreaming about writing your book, putting it off, just procrastinating, fearing it, just not getting it done, not knowing where to start, well, now you know. Please go to americasbookcoach.com. You can schedule a free discovery call with me. We can meet over Zoom and talk about how I can help you and address any concerns that you've had or blocks that have stopped you from writing your book. I'm going to be honest, writing a book is scary. When you present from your heart and soul some things you might not have even ever told anybody. That was the case with my book. I told some stuff about my spiritual awakening and experiences in meditation that I'd never told anybody. So I was really scared before I published this book. But guess what? It boosted my confidence, and people said it emboldened them to share their own stories, their own experiences, which is amazing. When you write a book, you're touching people's lives. You are an alchemist. You are helping them transform on a deep, deep, deep level to advance, ascend into their greater self. That is powerful. I want to help you do that. I'm America's Book Coach. Please go to americasbookcoach.com, learn more. You can email me or book a discovery call. Super excited to meet you. I hope that you'll be able to take my course and come out 6 months from May as someone on your way to being a published author, because you will have finished your book. The time is now. Stop waiting, stop procrastinating, stop struggling by yourself, stop using writer's block as an excuse. If we learned anything during the pandemic, it's that life is precious, life is short, and life, unfortunately, is unpredictable. And sadly, there are millions of people around the world who are no longer here to talk about or dream about writing their book. And if it didn't get done, it didn't get done. Don't let that be you. The world is waiting for your book. Let's do it. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, America's Book Coach. Please do give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so you can always know when I post new videos that can help you become a published author, a better writer, and someone who's really thriving in your creative genius zone. Please follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. And I really, really do hope to hear from you very soon over Zoom so we can talk about your book. Meanwhile, happy writing, and I'll see you next time.